everyone, I'm Sharronda Williams and you're watching Prime Video Recaps. Welcome to Prime Video Recaps, where I will be recapping some of your favorite Prime Video original titles in order to help you catch up before binging a new season. With the first 2 episodes of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel Season 4, I thought you might need a little reminder on everything that happened in the previous seasons. So sit back and relax, and let's take a walk down memory lane as I catch you up on everything that happened on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel Seasons 1 through 3.
Tits up.
New York City, our favorite funny lady, Mrs. Maisel.
In Season 1, we are introduced to Miriam Maisel, a married housewife with 2 kids living on the Upper West Side. Miriam also goes by the nickname of Midge, just in case you didn't know.
Oh, Midge. Well.
Oh, Lenny, don't worry. We're definitely going to talk about you. Midge is married to her husband, Joel Maisel, who is an aspiring comedian who does sets at the Gaslight Cafe, where Midge bribes Susie Meyerson with briskets
Got the brisket?
in order to help Joel get a primetime slot. After bombing one of his comedy sets, Joel ends up having a little bit of a midlife crisis and decides that he no longer wants to be with Midge. He wants a divorce, but there's a little bit more to the story than what we thought.
Oh,
Penny,
your secretary.
so you'll tell your parents for me?
I know you lying, Joel. Tell your parents what? For you? You know what? Let me just continue with this recap before I lose it. So obviously at this point, Midge's husband wants a divorce and she's obviously upset. So she decides to get drunk. She goes to the Gaslight Cafe. She does a comedy set which leaves the entire audience laughing.
Come on, who wouldn't want to come home to this every night? Okay, all right, maybe today's not the best day to judge. I've been crying and my face is all puffy and just ignore this. But imagine coming home to these every night.
However, she ends up getting arrested for public indecency. This is actually the first time where she meets one of my faves, Lenny Bruce.
Hey.
Susie bails Midge out of jail and has a conversation with her, trying to convince her to become a stand-up comedian. Midge eventually agrees and she starts performing stand-up secretly so her family doesn't know. But her parents start to get a little bit suspicious, especially her mother Rose. Midge ends up finding a job where she is also confronted by Joel's secretary.
Tramp! You are a tramp!
She's given the opportunity to be an opening act for a famous female comedian by the name of Sophie Lennon. After Sophie and Midge get to know each other a little bit better, Sophie ends up rubbing Midge the wrong way, leading Midge to do a set tearing Sophie Lennon down.
You're gonna sit in your $1 million townhouse? Tell me that men won't think I'm funny because I don't look like a dump truck?
Which leads both Midge and Susie to be blackballed. Joel decides he might want that good thing back with Midge. He professes his love to her and says that he wants to make this work, but Midge says, no, you made your choice, now live with it. Now we thought that was going to be the end of it, but then begins our never-ending saga of will they, won't they, will Joel and Midge get back together, or will they stay apart? We never know. We're going to go through this for a couple of seasons, so buckle up. Midge decides that maybe Joel and her had something good, and so after they have a little secret rendezvous, Midge starts to get the impression that, hey, maybe her and Joel can get back together. However, Joel ends up walking in on one of Midge's sets as she discusses the drama of their never-ending relationship saga, which leads Joel to get upset, which is shortly lived because a heckler disrespects Midge and Joel goes out and beats the heckler up in the street, leading us to our Season 1 cliffhanger.
Great audience, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for me. My name is Mrs. Maisel. Thank you and good night.
In Season 2, Midge's mom, Rose, escapes to Paris. She's gonna live her best life, y'all. Midge and her dad, Abe, they decide to go to Paris and try to convince Rose to come back to New York. Eventually, their plan takes a little bit longer than they thought, but they're ultimately successful and gets Rose to come back to New York, but just in time for their summer trip to the Catskills. At the Catskills, Midge meets a new love interest, a lovely surgeon by the name of Benjamin, who's very easy on the eyes.
Where the hell have you been all my life?
Midge continues to do her stand-up until Abe actually ends up catching one of her sets, which leads to a very uncomfortable situation that doesn't go over very well. Midge decides at probably the worst time ever to tell her family that she is pursuing a career to be a stand-up comedian, which obviously does not go over well with her family or the rabbi.
Maybe I should be going.
Sophie Lennon is back and still trying to blackball Susie and Midge, which doesn't go over well with Susie. Abe decides to leave his job at Columbia, which doesn't go over well with Rose. But one of the things that is going well is that romance between Midge and Benjamin. So good that Benjamin decides that he is going to propose to Midge. She says yes. We're all excited. However, in the meantime, she meets Shy Baldwin, who is a famous singer. She's a huge fan. Shy ends up catching one of her sets and decides to offer her the opportunity of a lifetime by being his opening act, going on the road with him.
How would you like to open for me on tour?
Yes.
Midge says yes, which she quickly forgets that she just said yes to Benjamin and she's supposed to be getting married to become a housewife and have more kids, and then she decides I can't do it anymore. She has to take this career opportunity. It could change her life. She leaves a note for Benjamin, breaking up with him, saying that she doesn't want to marry him. She has to leave. As Midge is taking this opportunity of a lifetime to go on tour with Shy, she hangs out with Lenny Bruce and she ends up hearing him singing a song, which makes her realize that she's going to be all alone now that she has broken off the engagement with Benjamin, which leads her back onto our never-ending journey of will they, won't they? Will Midge and Joel get back together? She shows up to Joel's office and says, I don't want to be alone tonight. They have another secret rendezvous, and then that ends us at our season 2 cliffhanger.
Smell that? Smells like cheap beer and piss.
I know. Exciting, right?
Season 3, Midge is on the road with Shy Baldwin, traveling all over the country. Shy Baldwin and Midge, they end up forming a very close friendship, so much that Shy ends up letting Midge know about his sexuality. Joel and Midge continue their will they, won't they, get back together or not get back together, as he ends up meeting her in Las Vegas for one of her sets.
I love Vegas!
And they have yet another secret rendezvous, but you guys, this time Joel and Midge, they make a decision about the state of their marriage, where they actually finalize their divorce. Joel decides that he's going to open up a club where he meets his new love interest, May. Because Abe has quit his job at Columbia, him and Rose, they haven't lost their apartment. Instead, they now have to move in with Joel's parents, which creates a very uncomfortable situation for both couples. Abe decides to become a writer and ends up getting a job with the Village Voice as a theater critic. Rose ends up finding her voice and tries a career at becoming a matchmaker. Midge comes up with the idea to go to Joel's father, Moish, to ask him if he can sell Joel and Midge's old apartment back to her. Because selling this apartment to her would end up letting her parents move in with her and out of their house, Moish actually agrees to this. As Rose is continuing her flourishing career as a matchmaker, she gets Midge into a little sticky situation when Rose decides that she wants to set Benjamin up with a wife. This causes Benjamin and Midge to have to meet again after her sending him the letter in a very uncomfortable conversation that was quite entertaining to watch.
I don't get mad. I can't get mad. When you're really tall, you can't get mad. You can't pace around and wave your arms in the air and raise your voice because people get scared, see?
Midge explains to Benjamin why she ultimately ended up leaving him in order for her to follow her dream as a stand-up comedian. Susie ends up taking a new client, but there's a caveat. Her new client is Midge's arch enemy, Sophie Lennon.
I want you to be my manager.
Susie actually does a good job in managing Sophie's career, getting her a lifetime offer on a Broadway gig, but Sophie ends up crashing and burning in her potential moment of shine. Susie takes a big risk and gambles not only her money, but Midge's money on a fight, which she ultimately loses, leaving her to burn down her family home with Tess in order to commit insurance fraud to get Midge her money back. In order to make sure that she never goes through this situation again, she goes to Joel to ask him to manage Midge's finances without Midge knowing what is going on. Joel agrees to help Susie and their reluctant friendship flourishes. Midge gets a great opportunity to open for Shy Baldwin at the Apollo, where she does a fantastic set. However, she takes things a little too personally as her set is about Shy Baldwin.
You know where we met? In the ladies' room.
Midge prepares to go back on the road with Shy Baldwin. As she arrives to the tarmac at the airport, she is met by Susie and Shy Baldwin's manager, where he has to tell them that Shy was not happy with the set that she gave at the Apollo, which played a little too close in regarding the secret about his sexuality, to where Shy Baldwin no longer wants her to go on tour. She is fired right there on the airport tarmac, leaving Susie and Midge at their lowest at the end of the season 3 cliffhanger. So there you have it. That's everything that you need to know about The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, seasons 1 through 3, in order to help you prepare for the new season 4. Don't forget, season 4 of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel will premiere its first 2 episodes on February 18th on Prime Video. Once again, my name is Sharronda Williams, and thank you for watching Prime Video Recaps.
Dad, why'd you name yourself Richard? He was like, because I want to be rich.
Did you wash your hands? Of course not.
Oh my God! You ever use schmaltz? Same heart attack, different afterlife.
High five. Even if I did know where the Antichrist was, I wouldn't tell you. We're on opposite sides.
I rather enjoy being on fleek.
I ate a bug.